Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and stupidity knows no bounds. Imagine being a council that decides to introduce a low emission zone and fails to test if any of your vehicles comply. That's what happened, of course, to Glasgow. And now they're hiring vehicles, they're leasing these vehicles, and they're spending £3,000 a week. That's over £150,000 a year of your money because they are stupid. And they're doing it not because the vans they have are dirty. The vans they have may well be very, very clean. But of course they're doing it because the vans they have are very slightly too old. It's got nothing to do with emissions, of course. It's all to do with the age of the vehicle, because it is an attempt to discriminate and to take poor people out of the city. But alas, these morons that run Glasgow City Council forgot that they too own older vehicles. But that's fine. They'll just spend your money leasing these new ones. Meanwhile, the old ones are sitting over there rotting, not being used, not turning over, and will eventually have to be scrapped at great expense. Unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, we'll take a look at this piece to see why Glasgow City Council has some major questions to answer, and why the people of Glasgow are getting a lot of council tax rises, rent increases, rates increases to fund the dimness of this council. Here goes. Honestly, when you see what the things they do, you think, nobody could be as stupid as this. And then the SNP come along and go, hold my beer. And they prove to you, yes, they can. Yes, they can. So Glasgow City SNP Council spends £3,000 a week of taxpayers' money hiring vans at the 11th hour to comply with their low emission zone that they brought in and based on age, not emissions, because they're morons, or it's either that or they're deliberately doing it because they don't want poor people in, because they want to start, pushing for those 15-minute ghettos. That's probably more nearer the idea. So hundreds of vehicles belonging to the SNP-run local authority are not compliant with the controversial low emission zone, and so it is simply spending taxpayers' cash to hire new motors instead. More than £3,500 of taxpayers' money was paid out on hire costs by an SNP-run council in just 9 days. So £3,000 a week, more or less, to comply with its own new emissions rules. Imagine if it didn't bring these emissions rules in. Wouldn't have to spend all that money, number one. And number two, it would have made zero difference whatsoever to the air quality. And in fact, the air quality has got worse since. Because obviously now, with all those clean older cars out, everyone's piling in their new big motors, because it's all the poor people can't come in. So all the rich people are coming in their big gas guzzlers and making the air quality worse. The law of unintended consequences, because nobody in the SNP is capable of looking and seeing the future, because they're all thick as champ. Anyway, an estimated 600 odd vehicles in Glasgow City Council's fleet of motors are not permitted inside its low emission zone, because the morons decided to do it that way. The banned list even includes the Lord Provost's VW Phaeton limousine. Unbelievable that they plan these things, isn't it? The authority has already told hard-pressed businesses and commuters they've had years to get compliant with the new zone, despite the fact that so many of its own cars and vans are still banned. The council's had years, and yet strangely hasn't. So they can't use that excuse to other people, can they? The first night, and other people, normal people, don't have the ability to go out and hire these cars at public expense. In the first 9 days of the new restrictions, the council was forced to hire 10 Ford Transits at a cost of £2,000, plus other vehicles, such as a Mercedes Sprinter Trekker minibus, for £536. The Mail on Sunday reports estimates for hire costs will run into tens of thousands of pounds as the council tries to get its own fleet compliant with new emission rules. What it means is selling off the old vehicles that are perfectly good and functional and clean, and buying new ones which may not be as clean as the old ones, but they are at least newer. The easiest way, surely, is to do this. Look at whether those vehicles, any vehicle, has an MOT. And as long as it's got an MOT, then it has met the government's emissions target, and therefore should be allowed into the city. That's simple, isn't it? Or, if you are going to have a lower emissions level, look at it and base it on the emissions of the car. And that way, only clean cars can come into the city. That's not difficult either. But to sit there and go, only new cars, that's just sheer lunacy. But then, it's the SNP. Scottish Tory Transport spokesman Douglas Lumsden said, "This sums up the complete hypocrisy of the SNP-led Glasgow City Council's implementation of their LEZ. They've had to shell out thousands to make sure their own fleet is up to scratch. At the same time, they've imposed hefty fines on hard-pressed motorists. It's yet another policy from the SNP that has been completely shambolic in its rollout." One of the things that happens when you bring in things like this is anything that's in the town will move out of the town. So industry moves out, shops move out, and then the whole centre dies. And then they'll complain, "Look, the high street's died." Yes, you've killed it. The council, Scotland's biggest, imposed £175,000 in fines in the first month of operating the LEZ. A total of 2,922 of the £60 fines were issued, so about 100 a day then. It could have been more, but the council allowed a grace period for drivers committing more than one breach in a day before the penalties were fully implemented at the start of this month. Glasgow City Council said the new LEZ compliant vehicles are expected to be delivered to us in the near future, and we're also retrofitting existing vehicles to improve emission standards across our fleet, which will cost an absolute fortune, more money that the public will have to pay for because of this short-sighted and stupid council. What is wrong with these people, apart from the obvious thing that they're mental, that they are subnormal, they're educationally challenged, aren't they? Only a moron could ever be an SNP politician, and only a moron would vote for them. You have to be an absolute imbecile to not see what the effects of bringing these things in are. Bonkers. It's honestly, I can't even think down to their level. My dog has got a higher IQ than some of these people. Anyway, I'm going to come up and come out, but it is just absolutely appalling. How do they function as human beings? How do they actually go through their daily lives being as clearly stupid as this? Who knows? Anyway, coming up. I'm pretty sure that to become a member of the SNP, it stands for sort of any kind of office like council or SNP MP or SNP MSP, anything like that. Anything. You've got to be innumerate, functionally illiterate, very low room temperature IQ, and probably have some kind of addiction like, you know, the white dust like Mary Black, or Kit Kat like Mary Black, should I say, or alcoholism, you know. So you've got to have a lot of flaws and a lot of problems. You can't be normal. You couldn't be normal. Normal people would straight up see the problems with things like this. Normal people would look at it and go, well, what about this? What about that? What about the other? That's normal people. The educationally subnormal that join the SNP haven't got a clue, have they? Not a jot. Not one iota of a clue. It's only going to get worse because people keep voting for them. What is wrong with these people? Now, everyone in Glasgow who's had a fine, if you voted SNP, you voted for that fine. Unbelievable, isn't it? Well done. Well done, you. Keep voting. Keep paying. Anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and stay the hell out of the centre of Glasgow. Bye.